Alright, so we have Rodolfo Vieira versus Dustin Stoltzfus. So break down the striking of these two. So for Stoltzfus, he comes in with that Muay Thai style. He likes to switch his stance occasionally, quite right hand heavy. Even when he is in southpaw, he's looking for the check right hook or just the right hook or whatever. But he does like the straight right just most of the time, or the 2-3. You can tell he loads up on every strike. Like, he is very tense in there. He seems very stiff. But, he does load up on every strike, and he does put a bit of pop behind his punches. He has nice low calf kicks as well, which absolutely could be a weapon. Maybe not the move in this fight, but, going forward, it's always good to see a fighter implementing the low calf kick because it's such a devastating weapon. And he's basically going to have the advantage standing by default, because Rodolfo Vieira, he wants no part of the stand-up. He doesn't want to strike at all. He wants to get the fight to the mat. If you feint on him, he bites very hard, and when you do hit him, he doesn't react well to strikes at all. But what he does do is he tries to feint, and he tries to push you back to the fence, and then he tries to shoot from there. And Stoltzfus, one thing he will do is just back up in a straight line, and you just can't do that against Vieira, because his takedowns are actually decent, and he is very tenacious when he is going for them. He likes to drive a double to the fence, take him down, get in mount, triangulate the legs, work his way into mount, take the back when the opponent's going to turn to get back to their feet. Or if they're not going to give that to him, then he'll just look to angle off the opponent on the fence, keep him against the fence, just push him, pretty much use his body weight to keep him against the fence, and then look for ground and pound from there. And as I said before, I wouldn't say low calf kicks are the best thing to throw in this fight, because Rodolfo Vieira, he's always looking to time a blast double over a leg kick of the opponent, so maybe hold off on the low calf kicks in this fight. But Stoltzfus, he's shown good takedown defense. He's shown good balance when he is defending takedowns, especially on the single leg. Like, it's hard to get this guy down with a single leg. But one thing Stoltzfus does do is that he likes to keep his feet on the hips of the opponent when he's on bottom. And, Rodolfo Vieira, he's gonna pass your guard like butter if you're gonna do that. He's just gonna sweep the legs into side control. Dude is very strong. He'll just grab your ankles and then just, throw them off to the side and then sweep like that to side control. And he loves that arm triangle from side control or mount. So it's a really dangerous game to play if you're gonna keep your feet on the hips of Rodolfo Vieira. And he has an insane squeeze on that arm triangle. Good grappling strength in general, as I just alluded to, controls the ankles with his hands a lot of the time. The guy's just insanely strong. Just look at his physique. You gotta be strong if you have that physique. But what I've seen from Stoltzfus is that he is, competent off his back. He will go for leg locks of his own when the opponent postures up. He looks for leg lock sweeps, looks to use that to reverse position and then, get up on top. But, maybe don't be too comfortable off your back in this fight. How these guys win fights, so I think Stoltzfus has a bit of raw power. As I said before, very tense, very tight with everything, and just seems like he has a bit of raw power with the way he throws. And for Rodolfo Vieira, obviously high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. How these guys lose fights, so for Rodolfo Vieira, no stand-up threat, and he's very uncomfortable on the feet. He bites hard on feints, he doesn't react well to strikes, as I said before. He gasses after one round. If you make him work for the takedowns, he's going to gas in under one round, potentially, as we saw in the Alexander Hernandez fight. And for Stoltzfus, it's the striking tendencies, but I didn't discuss them here because obviously Rodolfo Vieira is not going to do anything crazy on the feet here. Path to victory for these two, so for Stoltzfus, obviously keep it on the feet. Don't accept bottom position. Look for uppercuts, just to try and catch him as he's coming in, because he's going to be shooting quite a bit. And your shot is coming when he is when he's backed you up near the cage. So look for uppercuts there, and then, you can use that for underhooks and then try and reverse the takedown from there. No low kicks, maybe lead leg low kicks at a minimum. But yeah, probably no low kicks in this one. Look for the two down the pipe. The guy's head's on a center line, so you can just, really look to jab and put the two down the pipe, but he doesn't throw the jab too often. For Rodolfo Vieira, look to shoot over a low kick if he does throw them. Maybe look for a blast double when, you feint a low kick maybe of your own, because he does lift his lead leg up quite often, placing all of the weight on his base and his back leg. So, obviously quite common tendency with Muay Thai practitioners and guys who have a heavy Muay Thai style, but maybe you could look to take advantage of that, maybe feint a leg kick and then try for a blast double over there, and then, you know, just do your work in top position. How I see the fight going, so Rodolfo, you know, on the feet, he's not comfortable at all. Like, he just eats shots until he shoots, basically. He's not gonna, doesn't really look to throw anything back, and, you know, don't worry, he will shoot. He is relentless with trying to get the fight to the mat, and his takedowns aren't bad mostly. Like, you know, Stoltzfus seems like a guy that's quite hard to hold down, but I do see Rodolfo getting him down and obtaining a dominant position. Like, the dude is a very high level black belt. Either he finds the sub or wins round 1 quite dominantly, maybe a 10-8 or a very dominant 10-9. But after that, it gets interesting because Vieira, like, his cardio is just absolute dog shit. Pacing is dog shit, goes super hard in round 1, and it's because he can't strike at all, so he's forced to constantly shoot, constantly use that explosion to drive a double onto the fence, and in turn, all these explosions gas him out real quick. So if he developed a little bit of a striking game, then maybe that pacing and that cardio issue might improve a little bit. So it might be prudent to look for a live bet after round 1 on Stoltzfus if he hasn't been choked unconscious yet, but I do think Vieira gets him down and submits him in round 1. I think the tendencies that Stoltzfus has shown in previous fights will absolutely help him, you know, get to mount and then get a real dominant position. He's probably going to submit you if he does get that far. He's a very high level of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. You know, what happened in the last fight, that's going to happen, you know, some of the time. But, you know, round 1, when he's fresh, he's one of the best, you know, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners in the UFC right now. Alright, so the prediction is Rodolfo Vieira by submission in round 1. But I do think the line's a little bit wide. Probably a little bit of value on Stoltzfus, in my opinion. Definitely wouldn't bet Vieira at this price. You know, he's just very one-dimensional, has a lot of flaws in his game. And if he doesn't, you know, fight the perfect fight or get the perfect opponent, who's just going to get taken down and then submitted in the first round, he's going to struggle, like, later on. Like, if he doesn't submit Stoltzfus, round 3 is going to be very edgy, unless Stoltzfus just has 0 takedown defense. But yeah, as I talked about before, you know, he's shown decent takedown defense, so it's going to be very edgy if it does go 3 rounds. So you're kind of betting on Vieira to just win the first 2 rounds, mostly the first round too. Like, he starts gassing real quick, and a few bets I was looking at was, you know, probably the Stoltzfus money line. If it goes any higher, probably I'll just bet that. Just think it's a little bit wide at the moment as well. But yeah, I was looking to live bet Stoltzfus after round 1. Like, if he's making Rodolfo work and Vieira looks a little bit fatigued, then yeah, that's an instant live bet for me.